Hello, I'm Fritz, and I want to discuss the best preseason archery fitness and bow hunting exercises. So it is that time of the year where bow hunters start thinking about shooting their arrows at targets, tuning their bows, playing around with their fletchings, fantasizing about big game, and preparing for the practical application in the field for physical fitness training. I love it. Hunting is my soul and my passion. I think about it 365 and 24/7. I'm always thinking about how can I get in shape for steep terrain? Can I hit a quarter at 70, 80, 90 plus yards? Do I have the stamina to go from sun up to sundown? Can I do anything to prepare or prevent against injuries? Essentially, do I have the grit and the toughness to harvest that once in a lifetime animal? Here's some helpful exercises, tips, tricks for preseason archery hunting fitness that I implement for optimal success. Please note that these are suggestions and recommendations, and they can be modified depending on your level, ability, and or your equipment availability. The beginner bow hunter workout is for someone that has not been training, they're out of shape, deconditioned, and they're trying to get their fitness level up so that they can go on their hunts. So a couple things exercise-wise. So I focus on strength. I want to do some conditioning, cardiovascular, and also shooting are the three main points of this bow hunting fitness kind of training. So main thing, bow hunting, obviously you're pulling back on your string, on your bow. So the simplest exercise is doing a bent over dumbbell single arm row. So a bent over row you can do as a dynamic movement where you're going up and down. You can also do it as an isometric where you just pull it up and hold it. Okay? So just like bow hunting, you might be sitting on an animal for 30 seconds before you shoot. So it's good to practice pulling back and holding for a period of time. Okay, another exercise is a chest press. So just a basic version of that would be like a chest press or a push-up. You can do that with a barbell, a dumbbell, and again, I would recommend doing dynamic versions and also hold versions or isometrics. So that arm that's holding your bow is going to be pushing, stabilizing, and that other arm is going to be pulling. So we want to have kind of both sides of your shoulder joint strong, healthy, stable. Another one that I use for kind of backcountry hiking, camping, and big game is dumbbell squats. So having a barbell and doing heavy loaded squats. If you don't have a barbell, that's fine. You can use dumbbells. You can do bands. You can throw a sandbag, or you can put your loaded pack on your back. And the goal is to create challenges with your spine, get your body used to holding and carrying loads, moving with heavy weight on your shoulders and spinal compression. So the best thing to do is slowly progress that and work on strengthening those muscles, ligaments, tendons, joints, so that it is able to handle that stress when you get that meat on your back in the high country. Okay, another thing that I recommend doing for kind of shoulder prehab or kind of just maintenance of your joint is a stability ball exercise. And if you don't have this, you can use maybe a band going kind of the opposite way. But this is a simple kind of physical therapy, rehabby type of thing that you can do. You can do circles. You can do up and down, side to side, different diagonals. You can do figure eights, but all that will help to strengthen your shoulder joint, your rotator cuff muscles. It will also help with stabilization. It will help kind of get everything prepared and ready to hold stress. So I would recommend doing that with both arms. Either the figure eights, up and down, angles, circles, but do that to get your shoulder conditioned so that it's ready for challenges on it. Okay. is just to take a weight and you can hold them isometrically and just work on strengthening the muscles that are associated with shooting your bow, or kind of having that motion and muscle memory strength in those shoulder joints. So simple, easy stuff to do. So then the other exercise that I highly recommend is to do step-ups. So use a stair or some kind of device that you can go vertical. So you can do that with body weight, you can do it with a dumbbell, a backpack, add resistance, get your body used to what it's going to be doing out in the field. Okay, and then we have hiking. So you're going to be out, you're going to be walking, you're going to be going up steep terrain, maybe down stuff. You got to be conditioned. So get moving, get walking. Try to start adding distance once you start doing it regularly. Add load, add your packs. Do micro progressions. Don't throw 50 pounds on day one. Get your body conditioned, trained. Start doing short distances over time. Build up longer distances. Same thing with your load. Maybe throw a water bottle, a couple water bottles. Add a little weight, 5 pound weight to it. Maybe the second or third week. And maybe add 5 pounds each week until you get to your season. Then the last thing is shooting. You got to practice shooting. I would recommend doing kind of multiple times a week to get yourself ready. Also practice angles when you're on the range. Try that long distance or long range shots. Also practice the short distance shots. Every once in a while you have an animal or some weird scenario where the thing is way closer than you've ever practiced and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So practice every scenario. Try different positions, standing, kneeling. You can do seated. Sometimes you're in a blind, ground blind, or a tree stand that's low to the ground. Practice every situation scenario. Another good idea is maybe do some cardio and then shoot while your heart rate's up. So those are just basic strength and condition exercises to help you with your bow hunt. So we'll go into the advanced bow hunter workout. So this is more for someone that's been working out and we're trying to get a little bit more sport specific, or get kind of fine-tuning the detail of your actual bow hunting exercise. So first thing is to do stuff standing, or do stuff in the environment that you're going to be hunting. So usually most bow hunting is standing. Again, you can be in weird positions, kneeling, seated, different angles. So just a simple kind of sport specific exercise is to do a standing row. You can do this with a cable or a band. Again, if you don't have that, you have dumbbells, you can still do single arm dumbbell row. I would recommend doing dynamic, where you're moving, you're pulling in and out, just like you're pulling back on that bow. Also doing holds, okay? Just sitting there. Another thing is grip. So depending on what type of release you have, you want to practice and mimic what you're going to be shooting, or how you're going to be shooting. So I use a trigger release. So I would be doing more of a traditional kind of arm out to the side row. If you're shooting a hinge or a thumb release, you're going to be rotate a lot more. Your elbow's going to be up. So you want to practice these things. Get your body, your joints, your ligaments, tendons, get them prepared for what you're going to be doing. Okay, and then the opposite of that pulling arm is your stabilizing and kind of pushing arm. So same thing, dumbbell chest press or a cable band press. Working on the shoulder stability, having both sides in the whole rotator cuff strong, stable, solid, being able to move, used to holding loads. Again, you can do things dynamically moving, or you can do things where you're isometrically or holding it. Again, you might be on an animal where you have to hold a position for a long period of time. So I would work up to 2 minutes if you can. Maybe add 10, 15 seconds every week. Build that, progress it over time. We have barbell squats. Again, get your body used to holding load. Get some compression on your spine. Get it used to holding a lot of weight. When you're hauling out meat, you might be pulling 100 plus pounds on your backpack. So do things that are going to get you prepared and ready for that. I highly recommend loading your spine multiple times a week. Get it used to condition. Again, don't overdo it. Don't do it too many days, but you should challenge the legs, hips, spine, shoulders, and vertebrae compression to get the best bang for your buck. If you don't have a barbell, I would use dumbbells. You can use a sandbag or a backpack, loaded backpack. Okay, we have weighted walking lunges. So you can do different setups where, you know, maybe you take a single dumbbell and you challenge your trunk, core muscles. You know, I know one time I was hunting and it was high desert, super dry, and we had to carry in gallons of water because there was just no water up in the place that we were hunting. So I literally had a gallon of water in one hand and a half gallon. So I just kind of cattywampus walk. So practice that stuff. Lunges are great because if you have heavy packs and loads, you might have to go up and down terrain. So just get your body used to kind of doing that split stance kind of challenges with weights and loads on you. Another good exercise is farmer walks. So farmer walks is where you take, you know, dumbbell or plates, or you can take different objects and essentially you're walking. So this strengthens your shoulders, it gets some compression on your spine, it helps with your back extensors. So some other ideas, you can use sandbags, you can, you know, hold them, buckets of water, you can fill up buckets with heavy objects, whatever you have, but challenge yourself with kind of weird load profiles, try to get yourself conditioned moving with those loads. Shoulder prehab is very important. We have the stability ball prehab stuff where we're doing circles, figure eights, trying to improve the rotator cuff muscles, tendons, ligaments, tissues. You can do up and down, side to side, diagonal, but do things that are going to maintenance the areas that are getting stressed. You can do isometric holds. So one thing that I like to do off season is I will sit there with a weight in my hand. So depending on how much your bow weighs, you could go, you know, 5 pounds, that's pretty similar, and challenge these shoulders. Get them used to doing that. If you have to sit on an elk or sheep for 2 minutes, practice it and get prepared for that environment and that actual experience. So another good example of shoulder prehab is internal and external shoulder rotation at the 90-degree position. So usually this is done laying down, just so your back is supported. So your shoulder and elbow are at 90 degrees, and external rotation, you go back and you push into an object. You can also do this into the wall where you're pushing back. Do things to help with the nerve stimulation, muscle contractions. Again, if you're doing internal rotation, you can go here, come down, and push. These are the muscles that help with shooting your bow, pulling your string back. So internal, external shoulder rotation. Some other shoulder prehab that I do is I will do isometrics at different angles to work on all the different muscles that are in your shoulder joint. And we can do pretty much applying force in any direction. You can pull apart you can pull apart. So this is a mini band, pull out. We can do different angles. We can do rotations with our shoulder position. Doing isometrics is super safe and you're not going to get into as much trouble. So that's why I encourage people to do isometric prehab stuff. You know, traditional band stuff, depending on how fast you're moving, how much load and weight you have, it can be really risky if you're really deconditioned. I know some positions are very challenging and have a lot of weakness. So we can do different options, challenges. You know, again, we're trying to build up, strengthen, and keep the joints healthy. We're not trying to destroy them, overdo it, have tendonitis, bursitis. It's hard to hunt, it's hard to practice if you're inflamed and you have a lot of injury. Okay, so we have loaded step-ups. So using a weight or a dumbbell, you can do different scenarios, working on hip extension, going into those exercises. Another thing that I particularly have trouble with is coming down the mountain with a heavy loaded pack. If you got an animal, that stepping down or stopping yourself from falling, rolling down the mountain is very exhausting on the quads, very demanding on your knee joint. So I recommend you practice, get that muscle memory, the strength built up into those quads. Work on kind of descending, if you will. If you have 100 pounds of gear, camping, meat on your back, your bow, this will kick your butt. It's very exhausting. So I would highly recommend practice that to some level. Okay, then we get into our hiking. So hiking, we're trying to increase distance over time. We want to again load your pack. Get some weight on your back. Make it as real to being out in the field as possible. Do loaded incline pack stuff. Do decline stuff. Get your body used to every situation. Then for advanced bow hunting workouts, I would throw in running. So you can use your pack. Sometimes you get out where you got to chase down a deer, or you're trying to cut off, you know, some sheep. They're going up on draw, and you're trying to get in front of them. You got elk. You might have to run a quarter mile or half mile up around the mountain to cut them off, or kind of ambush them. So practice those types of things and get your body ready for that. And then finally, we have the shoot daily. So practice, practice, practice. Short distance, long distance. Try different angles, different positions, seated, standing, kneeling, elevated. So those are all good tips. Lastly, do a practice run with all your gear and your equipment and food. See if you can drop some weight off your pack. Maybe you have to add something that you forgot about. I know water is probably the biggest issue that I have. Hunting in high elevation areas that are kind of desert, high desert. There's no water. You know, if we have a drought, there's fires. Sometimes you can't get access to water, so you gotta pack it in. And water is super heavy. It's probably the heaviest thing in your pack. If you're going for a long, 7, 10 plus day camping trip, you need a lot of water. Go on a hike or a camping trip before the season. Maybe do some scouting while you're out. Again, just practice and get the hang of everything. Do I need this? Do I not need this? Always be prepared and practice, practice, practice. I like to reverse engineer my alpine hunting trips with e-scouting. So you can go onto different platforms, Onyx, Base Maps, Google Earth, Gaia, CalTopo. There's all these things where you can get elevation, you can get distances. So I'll go through and look at topos, and I will try to work towards a goal of where I think I'm going to be hunting, and use my conditioning, my preseason training, so that I can get prepared for that challenge. So an example is, if I know that I'm backcountry hiking 6 miles to my campsite, and I also found that there's a 2,800 vertical elevation gain, I would try to simulate that intensity at least once before I head out into a hunting situation. Again, be prepared and get yourself, we invest a lot of time, energy, money, and there's just this huge investment to hunt big game, and we want to be as prepared as possible. And sometimes no matter what you engineer or think, oh, well, the animals are over there. So, we did 5 miles and there are 2 miles on this other ridge. I got to go down and come up. There's another 5 miles. So prepare and plan and do the best you can. I want to thank you for your time and your interest in this topic. Now go chase those dreams, get fit, and smash some big game animals. If you're interested in custom workouts, or you want specific reps and sets, please contact me at info@scienceofcardio.com.